like you see someone in the rave, just go up and say hi. You know, that like people love it. Like the girl at the event, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, it's never going to get old. So yeah, just don't be afraid to sort of just go say hey. And like, you never know the opportunities. And that's what I love about drum and bass. They will give you an opportunity. Like someone will say, okay, cool, there's a track, show me what you can do.
For anybody who doesn't know, I am sitting today with Sydney. Sydney is a drum and bass vocalist and singer-songwriter from Southeast London, with releases on the likes of Shogun, Soulvent and Galacy. You can catch her latest release, Copper Soul, alongside Elk, out now on all platforms. Sydney, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. Very, very good. Thank you. Yeah, very, very pleased to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. I didn't feel like doing a hard cut in the middle. And just
no, that's fine.
But okay, so I just want to come back to what you were saying. So you mentioned you have some Irish origins, but only came to Ireland once. Like, I find that
not blood, but like I said, like my stepdad's been in my life for like 13 years. So but he sort of met my mum when I think I was 10 years old. So I kind of blame my parents for not taking me there sooner, you know? So most of the blame's on them, but now I don't have an excuse now, 26.
Do you have like family in Ireland then that you might have like connected with over the years? Or? Yeah,
so my stepdad's dad, sister, nephews, cousins, they're all out there still. And he has the best friends. They're amazing. So it kind of feels like extended family as well. So it's always a great party when we go over there. So I mean, it was sad because Ray couldn't see his dad for like 2 years or so. But he went back over there recently. So fingers crossed, if everything keeps moving forwards and travel continues, then I will be back there very soon, hopefully. So
yeah, you should. Yeah. Definitely let me know if you
I will, absolutely. I'll give you a shout.
Yeah. Have you ever, because we were talking about busking, have you ever tried busking?
I haven't. You know, I was saying I'm not a bit of a technophobe. Yeah. The equipment side scares me more than the performance.
Yeah.
But it is something I would love to do. And I know, like, I've heard amazing stories of people that, like Ed Sheeran is the famous example of someone who, you know, used to busk and now look at him. So it is definitely something I have considered. It's just when I start talking about batteries and generators, it's just like, what? I don't know what I'm doing.
Cables? What is this?
Yeah, exactly. So it is definitely something I would like to do. One of my other problems is, and I have this with gigs as well, is because I'm a pianist, I like a full-size keyboard. And I really struggled. I did loads of research into other keyboards like Roland's and smaller ones, but the keys are never weighted when they're smaller. And I did a performance of one and I just hated every second of it because I was just not relaxed playing. And really that's the side that should be very natural and I can think about singing and performing. I don't want to have to think about what I'm doing with my hands. So for me, it's like, how will I get the keyboard around? I'm a bit small. I'm a bit of a midget. So it's like the keyboard's the size of me. It's fucking heavy. And I just, there's so many, I would love to busk. I think it'd be so much fun and I'd love to do it. I just think there's so many avenues that I'd have to think about. I mean, I have a guitar, but I can't really play the guitar. I can a little bit, but not confidently to be able to do a gig or something like that. So my biggest struggle is lugging my keyboard around, really.
Yeah. I saw somebody in Dublin recently who had like a full-size piano.
Really?
Like on the street, He probably has a van or something and then like just wheels it onto the pavement or something.
Have you been to London? Have you?
I've been once, a long time ago.
I mean, parking is the biggest.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Like how I would get, you know, any parking to get the keyboard around. But it is definitely something I would love to do eventually. It's just, it's a bit of a pain. I wish I played like, the guitar would be very handy.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start learning, really.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's like everybody busking is doing guitar.
Yeah,
so
true.
If you manage to find a way to...
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, exactly. If you can find
Chuck
a way
it on your back, on you go. And there'll be me like dragging a massive keyboard along.
But if you find like a... If you found like a smaller-ish keyboard, it's more a question of just getting used to it. Like if you just like practice a ton on that keyboard, it's not going to be the same. But
no, and I think as well at that time when I tried that other keyboard, like my biggest thing for me is self-confidence, and I think even whether I had a full-length keyboard, I still wouldn't have been confident. So I think for me, it was like my safety net's gone now. So now I'm panicking because, you know, I feel very comfortable behind a keyboard. That's like my safety net. But it wasn't a keyboard I was comfortable with, which threw me off even more. So, I mean, luckily, I think it was like a 20-minute set. So I was on and off quite quick. If it was an hour, I probably would have died. Yeah. But I guess like I'm a bit more confident now and I practice a lot more now. So I think now would probably be the time to go, okay, go back, look at some keyboards, look at, like you said, it's not going to be amazing, but at the end of the day, like you can still do a lot with it. So it is, I think now is probably the time that I need to sort of go back and think, okay, you're a bit more confident now. So hopefully you won't have a mental breakdown if the keys don't feel right or something like that. Like hopefully I'll hold it together.
I had an absolute like horror story with, well, not a horror story, but with keyboards because I played only once or twice actually keyboards in concert. And one time was just like backing for a singer. And I was taking singing classes with my teacher, and basically he had produced this album for a singer, and the pianist who was supposed to play was sick or something, and like last minute he asked me if I could fill in. So I just had to learn like 4 or 5 songs out of a, I don't know, 15 song set. And that was fine. And so I learned it on keyboard, and they like lent me the keyboard I was going to play on. And when I got to the gig, that keyboard wasn't working for some reason with the setup. So I had to play the gig on another keyboard.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's like learning another instrument sometimes.
It's completely different. The keys were weighted completely different. The size of the keys were different. I was just trembling on, like, luckily I wasn't singing or anything. It was just like this. Just focus
on that and concentrate and try and get through it.
It's completely different.
Yeah, it is. And like you were saying about, you know, the size of the keys, that's what I found was weird because I don't know, like I've had multiple pianos over the years and I've had multiple keyboards, but I thought the keys were always the same like width and the space between the black notes was the same. And I was the same as you. I was like, what the hell? Like it's all really close together and this isn't right. And and it's nothing worse than not enjoying a gig or not enjoying a performance. Like it's meant to be fun at the end of the day. And when you're sort of crying inside, it's like every minute is so slow. So I feel your pain.
Talk about gigs. You're playing at a Sign festival. It'll be past obviously when this comes out, but as we're speaking, you're playing in a few days. So
I'm so buzzing.
How are you feeling? Because it's quite a solid lineup.
I know. I know. It's been really surreal because I played at Brixton Jam like 2 weeks ago, and that was the first time I'd ever hosted for people that were actually dancing. And again, like when I'm seeing my name on these lineups, I'm just like, what is going on? How have I got there? But it went really, really well. I did 2 hours for Brixton Jam, and to be honest, it was actually really tiring. I've done like live streams that have been hours, but so I was like, 2 hours will be fine. But it's really different when you're on stage and you're literally guiding the rave. Like all the ravers look at you for energy and like transition into tracks. So you know,
instructions almost.
Yeah, you're like you're like the leader. You're sort of guiding everyone through. So I was shattered after 2 hours. I was really, really tired, and I was like, wow, this is actually a really hard job. But it went really, really well, and to have people actually dancing was a lot better. It's like sometimes sit down events I found a bit awkward because the things that you'd normally say you can't because they're sitting down, you know. And everyone's just talking and having a conversation. You're like, make some noise for your DJ, and everyone's just like, yeah, I went there last week, blah, blah, blah. And it's really hard to get like energy when you're trying to be energetic because you're performing. So yeah, I'm really, really buzzing to play a day event as well. I love day events. I just think there's a whole nother vibe to raves during the day than at night. I don't know what it is. There's just a real relaxed atmosphere at them, and so I'm super, super excited about it. I can't wait.
Yeah. How do you prep for like those events? Like, how does it work? Do you know who you're going to be like performing with?
I don't actually. No, I don't know who I'm hosting for at the moment. I'm hoping that the promoters put me with someone who would suit. Obviously, I'm a soul singer, so anything too heavy, I find it hard to kind of sing on and mesh with. So liquid is obviously the best type of set. Obviously, I love a bit of like gritty tunes here and there, but for me to kind of actually combine with the music, it's always better to have a soul singer on liquid. So I'm hoping that he's beared that in mind and matched me with someone good, which I'm sure they have. I haven't been matched with anyone yet where I'm just like, oh, this is not working. Bear in mind, I've only done 3 events, so yeah, we'll see. But I'm sure they know what they're doing, and they'll match me right. So
yeah. So how does that work? Because I actually haven't seen that many gigs with live singers. So like, do you need to like prep like what the popular vocal tracks are at the moment so you can sing over them, or how do you go about it? Actually,
from my experience anyway, most of the DJs don't actually know what they're going to play, or they're just going to improvise, or they're like, I kind of, you know, it's going to start off liquid, and they'll give me a rough idea of the vibe of how the set's going to go. Regarding like tracks, I've never been told what they're going to play unless they're playing one of mine, and they're like, oh, by the way, I'm going to drop that in. I'll give you a little signal. So a lot of it, I don't know what happens with the other vocalists and hosts, but a lot of it for me has just been improvising. I'll play a mix. My brother, he's a DJ and a producer, so we've got decks downstairs, so he just does a rough mix for me, and then I just write, you know, 4 lines here, 4 lines there of hooks and things like that. So and I just jot them down on my phone, and when I perform I just sort of go back to those hooks and things like that. But if there is ever sort of a big sing drum and bass song, I usually leave it for the vocalist who actually recorded it and sing
so
it.
You wouldn't sing over it if it's not you?
No, I don't think so. I'd probably harmonise here and there, but I'd probably leave it for whoever smashed it originally, because I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to sing over it and someone be like, oh, shut up. I
get it. If it was your track and somebody else was singing over it, I guess
I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but I think even for the listeners, sometimes you just want to hear what you know, and you know, at the end of the day, the person who wrote it is going to do it right, and it's going to be recorded right. So I always like to harmonise here and there. If I know the song, then that's great to give a little ear candy. Your ears and your R's. But if there was like a big song chorus, I normally just kind of
lay back and
let it roll. So.
Are there any songs of yours that you're like looking forward, like hoping that you might be able to sing them live, or maybe songs that you prefer, like you're hoping they won't come up?
I've probably got a few of those actually. to be honest, like my releasing kind of slowed down a little bit this year, but I don't really see it as a bad thing because I kind of want more quality over quantity. And I changed the way I thought this year, because last year and the year before, I just wanted to like bash out as many tunes as I could, even if I wasn't crazy about them. And even if I didn't think that was my best work, I still was like, no, I want my name on it and I want to get out there. Yeah. But this year I've kind of thought, do you know what? I want someone to go onto my music or onto my Spotify and go, sick tune, sick tune, sick tune. You know, I don't want them to go, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Move on to the next vocalist and move on. You know, if you got, you know, people will also listen to and just go to the next. And, you know, obviously everyone has their personal preference. But if I am confident that like the first 10 tunes on my Spotify are really beautiful, amazing tracks, then I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying, you know, is there a song you don't want to hear or don't want it to come up? I don't want that. I don't want that out there. So I've kind of slowed down with the releasing. I've got some exciting releases coming up, which I think are my best and pretty big producers. So I don't know if I can actually say. No, I don't think I can.
Up to you.
I don't know. But that's the kind of artist that I'm trying to sort of fine tune through stuff and slow down with the releasing and just say to myself, you know, you don't always need to put stuff out. Yeah. Because you may be quiet for 3 months and then you put a track out and someone's like, wow, where has she been? That's amazing. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that I'm going for this year.
Yeah. It's a topic that comes up so often on the podcast, like quantity versus quality. And I think I've mentioned this, but I kind of go back and forth between the two, because from quantity comes quality. Like if you're releasing 2 tracks a year, then like...
Well, yeah, that would be minimum.
Yeah. But sometimes releasing more is better, and you're not always the best judge of your own quality either.
Oh, so absolutely. Yeah.
You might be like... keep holding tracks back, whereas
definitely.
If you put them out and then let people judge, but you also want your discography to be as good as it can be, so it's a really tough one.
I think like we all have that in common as creatives, that we're all our worst enemy, you know, and our biggest critic is ourselves. So yeah, definitely agree with that. Like that's why I send my music to, you know, people that I know will be honest with me, even though they're like my best friends. They'll be like, Sid, you can do better than that, or that's amazing, and I'll be like, oh, but this bit's sung horrible, and they're like, just, it's great, it's fine, only you are gonna focus on that one little syllable that no one's gonna hear, let it go. It's really, really, it's a great piece of music. So balance, it's hard sometimes to
because you don't want people to forget you.
Absolutely.
You see all the music coming out like every single day.
There's so much good music at the moment. It's crazy. Like my social media is just like tunes. It is so hard to keep up. And like I'm a bit of an old soul anyway. I really struggle with social media. I just like I don't really know where my phone is most of the time. It's just I'm not that kind of person. So, and in our day and age, especially trying to put yourself out there and get your music heard, that's the way you do it now. So for me, I really, really struggle with like I've been saying for the last 3 days in my head, right, you got to put that post up that you're thinking of doing. And I still haven't bloody done it because I just forget. And then, you know, it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh, well, I won't do it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. And then again, I'll be laying in bed about to go sit and I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't do that post again.
So there's a lot of good in that as well, because I'm probably like,
you don't want to be too obsessed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And being able to forget your phone for a few days, I'd love to be able to do that.
Really? Just like hide it somewhere or something.
Put it in a safe or something.
Or get your wife to hide it for you or something. Yeah. But again, it's just that balance with, you know, like social media can be amazing, but it also can cause a lot of mental health issues. And, you know, you can be envious of, like you were saying, that people putting music out and you're like, oh, why haven't I done enough, you know? And but for me, I find life can be overwhelming sometimes, and I just need to slow down and relax and be like, you need to just, you know, big up everyone who's doing their thing. It's amazing and it's really, really good, and everyone's on their own journey. You're on your own journey. Not to get too stressed about it, and just, you know, tomorrow I'll do the post or the next day. But I used to get really like kind of overwhelmed that I'm not doing enough, but at the end of the day, you still have a life, and life does get in the way of these things, you know, work and stuff like that. You don't always want to get on the computer and start recording or writing. Sometimes you just want to crash out and leave the day behind. So yeah, I'm getting better with social media, but I think I'm a bit too slow. I need to catch up a little bit.
Crank it up a bit.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's like more, I don't know, not competition, but like more vocalists coming into drum and bass? It's a feeling I've had, but I don't know if it's like just me noticing more or if it's
I think absolutely. But I've got to say, like, the girls and boys that are coming in, it doesn't feel like competition. It just feels like a bigger community. Okay. Like, all the vocalists I talk to, they're the nicest people. And even like you've got Ria and Colette doing their label and their album, like, that's amazing. Like, you think they're competitors, like, they're not. They're best friends, and they're doing what they love together. So yes, I think there is a consistent stream of vocalists, but they're just really cool people. And I've never come across a vocalist where I'm like, they won't tell me their secrets or they won't tell me their tips. Everyone's just like, how'd you do this? Oh, I do it this way, blah, 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 blah. That's really cool. I do it like this. And I've connected with like loads of especially the girls, loads of them, and just so helpful, just so nice. And yeah, just want to like make sure everyone's okay. And I think everyone has their little lane and their place. And so, yeah, I don't feel the competition. I just feel like there's like a really nice community going on and that's been building. And yeah, it's great to see like female hosts and rather than your typical MCs. And there's definitely a great movement going on. But I think everyone's just in it together. It's a really nice vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen more and more like female vocalists having their own projects, like you mentioned, Ria and Colette doing their album, and Ruth Royal has her own EP coming out on Soulvent. I find that super cool.
Yeah, it really is, because like when I got into the scene, not as a creative, but as a raver when I was 15, you never saw that at all, and it never even come into my mind that would happen. I mean, I think I saw a few like Jenna G sets, but it was always on a random. It weren't like, your weekly event. I used to go Cable Nightclub every Friday in London, like sadly got closed down, but it would never be on that sort of standard lineup flyer that you get coming out of a club. But now it's just a really amazing thing to see. It's like there has been a really nice change, but I think like MCs and vocalists now, they've got a bit more of a corner in the scene. Whereas before you're a little name at the bottom that no one really even cares about, I guess, when you go into a rave. But now it's like, oh, and Ria's there. Oh, and Fox is there. Oh, and there's more buzz around it now. I think people are really enjoying that side to it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's like also like a virtuous cycle of like if you see Ruth Royal putting out her EP, that gives a like
inspiration
a spark to others, or like Inja put out his album on Hospital, and it's like other MCs might look at that and say, yeah, I want to do an album or an EP as well.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Like reinforcing.
I mean, I don't see it slowing down now. With these projects that are popping up here and there, I think you're right. I think like other vocalists and MCs are just going to go, why not? Like,
Yeah.
I want to have creative control over stuff. I don't always want to be a featured artist. It's nice to actually be there, maybe even at the start of a creative process, because normally what happens is a producer contacts you with already a sketch or, you know, or basically the tune's done. They just want a vocal on it. But like, you know, it must be nice to be there right from the beginning and be like starting to paint your picture of the tune that you want to make. So yeah, definitely, I think we're going to see more and more of that. 100%.
Yeah. Is that something you've done in the past, like proposing sketches? Because obviously you're a pianist and
yeah. It hasn't really happened. Like, I've had a producer send me just like a drum pattern. But at the time, I didn't really have time for it. I've got so much going on, not only in drum and bass, but as a solo artist as well, that the drum patterns are just kind of sitting there. And it's one of those things that's on the list.
Yeah.
But I've never got round to it. But I mean, it would absolutely be something I'd love to do. It was just, I'm trying to juggle everything and keep up with everything. And I think what it is if I've got a producer who's come to me with the track there, it's kind of like, right, I'll get that done and then I'll do it. But then another track comes in. It's like, right, I'll get that done and then I'll do it. And like I said, it just kind of sits at the bottom of the list. But it's definitely something I'd love to do, just because I love to write chords, and I love that really like organic creative process where there's nothing there and you're literally creating something beautiful. Out of nothing. Like, I sit at the piano for hours every day just with my voice recorder on, just doing random keys and random notes and random melodies. Actually, sometimes I can be a bit lazy and just do that and not actually write anything.
Feel like you're working.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, I've got nothing to show. I'm just like, oh, I've got these really nice melodies going on. But yeah, so yeah, I actually handed in my notice at my job last Friday. So
oh wow, congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
to do
that's great.
Music more full time, because that would be my problem. Like, my job was pretty full on and I was too shattered to end up doing anything. So all like my creative ideas and songs were just sitting there on voice recordings, and it used to really frustrate me because I'd be like, I really like that song that I've written, but I can't take it to a producer, even a non-DnB producer, because I haven't recorded it. But you know, when you're doing sort of intricate piano work on Logic and stuff, it can take time. So and like I said, sometimes I don't want to come home from work and stare at the computer screen and be like, move that note there, and move that. Yeah.
Nobody wants to.
No. So yeah, I'm gonna do a part-time job instead rather than a full-time job, and then hopefully I'll actually get moving with this more songwriting stuff. And I'm working on a lot of multi-genre, so because I have a really weird mix of inspiration, because my great-granddad was like a pioneer in the jazz scene, so he brought jazz to London in the 1950s. And then so I've had that sort of fed through me for all my life. And then when my brother got into drum and bass and electronic music, then I got into dubstep, then I got into drum and bass, and then my uncle's like a house DJ, so I love house music. So there's all these,
so much stuff to do.
Yeah. So I'd love to do a multi-genre album where I've got a hip-hop track and a drum and bass track and a house track. Yeah, just something for everyone. But like, I love all those genres, like blues and jazz and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just time. I just I feel like I just have no time at the moment, so I'm looking forward to having that.
How did you like come to that decision? Because it's not an easy decision to make, to like leave a full-time job and the security of it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of now or never for me, because I live at home currently, and I probably will do for maybe the next 3-4 years. So my outgoings aren't very high. So if there was a point to cut down my income, now is the time to do it. So I had a discussion with my mum, and I was like, I feel like I'm not progressing with music because I'm working, you know, at least 5 days a week, sometimes the weekends, and the hours are quite long. And I'm a dog walker, by the way, so I'm walking.
Cool.
Yeah, I love my job. It is.
I've seen that on Instagram.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm pretty shattered at the end of the day because you're walking like all day basically. So I just kind of said to her, like, I'm not moving forward, I'm not progressing, and you know, if I don't make it in music, I generally don't know what I'm going to do because I'm not really good at anything else and I don't like to do anything else. So yeah, it was kind of a decision of, okay, I either do a part-time job, then go for it, get stuff done. I want to sort of move into a rebrand. So I'm going to leave Sydney behind because no one can ever find my music because there's like a billion Sydneys.
Yeah, it's not the ideal marketing.
It isn't.
Name.
and it's fine in drum and bass because we're kind of a tight-knit community. But as soon as you step out of that, like all my music is on some Austrian DJ on Beatport and I had no idea. And someone was like, is that you? And
I'm pretty sure on your Spotify there's a song and it's not you either.
Oh, I was listening earlier. Yeah, it's like some weird German rap or something like that. It's definitely not me.
No.
So yeah, it's I need to leave the name behind, and my nickname is P. So I think I'm gonna move forwards, which is probably a good idea to announce it on here actually, that you'll start seeing P as a vocalist here and there. So yeah, I just want to get going with it all, you know, and you're just feeling a bit like just agitated really because the last few months have been pretty full on. So yeah, hopefully I'll have some spare time to really sort of get the ball rolling with everything. So
write your first EP.
Yes, absolutely. Or an album.
Why not? Why not? Fuck it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Congrats. That's like
thank you.
That's a big step. Yeah,
thank you. I'm really, really excited.
So is your vision to kind of just rebrand under just one name and do everything under? Okay,
yeah. I've been working quite closely with Flex Out and Tom over there. He was we discussed. Originally, I wanted to keep Sydney in DnB because I feel like I've built a bit of a name for myself and I didn't really just want to scrap all that. So originally we're like, okay, we'll leave Sydney for drum bass and then P will be, you know, every other genre. But then we spoke to a few people that were advising and they just said, first of all, it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated for you and it's complicated for everyone else. And really, the most simplest way is to just either stick with Sydney and do multi-genre or move over to P and do everything under just that one alias. And to be honest, it started confusing myself when I was going through and trying to, you know, work out where everything's going to go. So we decided, right, I don't want P to be like just another drum bass artist. So my first release under that name is like kind of like a house anthem.
Nice.
Yeah, so and that's a song that I wrote on the keys and Atlantic Connection produced it for me. So I'm really excited about that because it'll be quite a nice way to introduce my kind of new alias. Like this isn't just going to be another drum and bass singer, vocalist, songwriter. So yeah, I just think it's much simpler for everyone. And like I said, it's not just going to be drum bass. So, you know, there'll be a few drum bass tunes in there, but I really want to start to get into like the soul music and jazz and things like that. So
yeah, it's going to give you more freedom at the same time as well. Like if somebody comes to you as Sydney with a track that's not drum and bass, maybe in the past you would have said maybe it's not for me or something, and now you can just take on whatever you want.
Definitely. No, I did that a lot when I started to make a few moves in the scene. I was like, I don't want to do anything else. And then when I decided, you know, like maybe like the last year, right, I really want to get not out of drum bass, but, you know, explore other genres, then I realized, okay, what am I going to do here really? So and then I thought, well, I don't want I want my Spotify to be like someone that your nan could turn on and really enjoy a few of the songs, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want your nan to go on and be drum bass, drum bass, drum bass.
Huge foghorns. And
yeah, exactly. Like, wow. It's just like, okay, so I want 2 aliases, but I think just starting afresh now is again, it's kind of like now is the best time.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to be sad to let Sydney go in a way, because I just feel quite proud of what I've achieved, and like even being here is really surreal. It's really cool. But like now, if I do it, if I wait 2 years, I might be even bigger than this, and then
it's going to be
people
harder.
are going to be like, what? So I think all the timings are kind of slipping into place. So yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah, cool. Congrats. Big step.
Thank you.
I do want to come back to what you were talking about earlier, about because you skipped over it quite quickly about your grandfather and your brother and house and all of that.
Yeah.
Because you do have a distinctive voice, at least in drum and bass, and you have your own influences in terms of, you mentioned soul and jazz. So yeah, walk me through a bit like your early childhood, like learning piano, singing, that kind of stuff.
So my great grandfather, he was the first band to do trad jazz, so traditional jazz in London. It had never really been heard before here. And he had a long life. I mean, he was playing his trumpet right up to, I think he was 93 when he passed away.
Nice.
And forever playing. And so I was very fortunate because I have a very musical family. So if you wanted to learn something, it was very much encouraged. It was actually disencouraged if you didn't do something musical. It's just like, what's wrong with you? So my mum sorted me piano lessons from about 5, and then I did my grades all the way up till about 13, and that's when I started sort of going out, and to pass your grades, it's a dedication. You have to put in the work and you have to practice, otherwise you're not going to pass. And I got to my grade 5 and I tried to pass my grade 6, and to be honest, I struggled a lot with the theory as well, because you have to then do your theories, and I struggled with that, but I managed to pass it. And then I tried to do my practical, and I tried twice and it just didn't work. And my mum was like, okay, you've done well and you've got to like quite a high grade, so we'll leave it here. And then I kind of, for a few years, I kind of just floated around. I didn't really do much music for a couple years. I kind of I didn't even see it as a hobby then, because I think I worked so hard with my grades that I kind of was a bit sick of it. And I was just like, I only played to pass the next grade. I didn't do songwriting then. Even though I loved singing, I wouldn't sit down and write a song. It would just be like me singing around the house, or I just loved being loud, I guess, and making noise. And then I had a few years where I kind of floated around. I was hanging around with people that probably weren't best for me. And then it was when I got Fake ID and I realized that, wow, like there's these clubs that play music that we like. Like they don't play, I don't know, like Ariana Grande, like they actually play music we like. So me and my friend, we both got Fake IDs, started going out, and then it kind of, music just like took over my life. Like I found this place where there was really lovely people, and like everyone thinks the same, and you go out to smoking area and everyone's like, you're right. And it was like a magical place to be. And I think I was trying to find my feet in the world, and I was trying to find myself. And when I got into the scene, I was just like, okay, this is home for me. Like I feel so comfortable here. Like I can really become myself. And through going to events, all my friends got into DJing and then producing. And then I was ridiculously shy. I would never sing. but I used to write songs about my friends on the piano, and like jokey songs and things like that. And if we'd have a party, I'd get the friends and I'd be like, I've got something to show you. And they'd all be like, oh my God, you're so good. And I just kind of brushed it under the carpet, really. I was just like, oh, I couldn't sing in front of, if someone else walked in the room, I'd just be like, and just stop playing. I couldn't, I'd just freeze up and I'd cringe myself out. And then I just was a bedroom songwriter for a long time, probably like when I was 16 to 19. And then I met my boyfriend, who was a producer as well. And he lived in this house share with 2 other producers. So it was kind of just like, and they did tech and house. So then I kind of got into tech and house a little bit. And they were just like, again, I'd sing around the house. And they're like, you've got a really good voice, blah, blah. And I'd just kind of laugh it off. And then one of Jordan's friends was like, right, I've got a track and I want someone to sing on it. Can you just get over it and sing?
Just do it.
Yeah, like, why are you making a big deal out of it? We know you can sing, just sing. And I'd just be like, oh, I can't. Anyway, they got me on, and that was the first time I heard myself sing recording. And I was like, that's not too bad, you know, that actually sounds quite sick. And then I guess the rest is history. I just got more and more confident, and like that was bloody hell, that was 7 years ago now. So it's taken me a long time to not like run away if someone's like, can you play me your new song? I would never ever do that. So it's just been a long journey for me to get here. It's taken me a long time. I do look back sometimes and think, oh, only if I had the balls to do this when I was 20, think where I'd be. But hindsight, you know,
everybody has different path anyway. And even that, I'd say like 7 years between like recording your first song to playing on stage with Need for Mirrors and Doc Scott. I wouldn't say like 7 years is a long time.
Thank you.
To be honest, like
yeah, true. So, you do need to look back sometimes and give yourself a pat on the back for how far you've come. So it's been an amazing journey. I do look back and smile sometimes about the stuff I used to write and record. It's quite funny.
Were those first tracks house tracks or?
Yeah,
when you started out,
well, they were house tracks, and then me and Jordan, we made a little sort of alias, but we never did anything with it. But we had tracks that were, I guess, like kind of minimal, so kind of like steppy drums, but minimal. So I don't even know if you could put them into a genre, really. It was just us sort of messing around. But we've still got the tracks, and we still listen to them and think, do you know what? This actually has like masses of potential. Yeah. So it is nice, but it's mad when I hear my singing. I'm like, oh my God. Because it's, compared to like once you have singing lessons and you learn what is going on, it makes such an amazing difference. Like I've only had lessons for the last 2 years, but fucking hell, my voice is so much better now just because I know what I'm doing. Whereas before I was just basically fluking it. So
I do want to talk about that because like more the singing aspect and maybe tips for up and coming singers and vocalists and stuff like that. But just before that, so just wanted to kind of make the bridge between starting with house and then actually focusing on drum and bass. Like when did that happen?
So it was, I went to a venue called Work Bar. It's in London. And I got chatting to Pete, who's half a Deadline, and he's at Shogun. And it was my brother, actually. He was talking to him, and he was like, said, you know, I'm half a Deadline, blah, blah, blah. And Deadline was just sort of coming up then. And my brother was like, oh, my sister's a singer. And they were looking, they had their debut EP on Skanker Bass that was about to come out, and they had this one track. And he was like, oh, my sister's a singer, blah, blah, blah. So we just got contacted on Facebook or whatever. And then he messaged me the tune, which was Through Your Eyes, which got released on Skanker Bass. And yeah, I just got right into it. I'd never done that before, and I'd never done that with drum and bass. So it was a massive learning curve. And Pete is so professional, and he's got such a good ear. So it was a great experience for me, because I felt like I kind of got dropped in the deep end a little bit, because he was just giving me all these tips, like, lyrics and hooks and even pronunciation, which I think I still mumble sometimes, but I'm working on that as well. But it was my first taste of like a professional working relationship where, I am not working for them, but I'm there to do a job, basically. So that was like amazing, because I just learned so much within, I think I did the vocal within like a week or two. But I learned so much in that period of time from the feedback that Pete was giving me. And, in the end, I still love that track as well. But once that come out, I think it just snowballed, really. I think Bert H was the next person I worked with, who I still work with now. We've actually got a track coming out soon, which I'm excited about. And it just snowballed. Like, you just start getting messages in your inbox and you're like, what the fuck's going on? Once you have that first release, you'll get someone who will hear you and be like, oh, that sounds really nice. Who is she, or who is he? And So
it wasn't so much of a conscious decision of like, from now on, I'm going to focus on drum and bass. No. This is my calling. Or...
No, not at all, actually. I would never believe that I could make money through something I love so much. Like, I never, ever would believe that. And I think that's why I didn't pursue this earlier, because in my head, that's just a dream. And that dreams don't come true, but they do. Like, if you, like, it actually can happen. It's so cool. Like, when I did the event the other week, I was just like I'm paid to be here in a rave. It's just like, what the hell? It's crazy. So yeah, it wasn't like I was like, right, I'm gonna contact producers and this is what I really want to do. It was just a bit of fun, really, that I guess escalated, so in the best way possible.
And so were you already like deep in the drum and bass scene when you started collaborating, or were you kind of discovering the genre as you were?
No. So I'm trying to think when that got released. That got released in 2018. And I'd been raving and in drum bass since I was 15. So I'm trying to work out the ages. I'm not very good at maths. But yeah, it was, and that's why I was just like, oh my God, this is really, really cool. Like, I can't believe that this is really happening, and that it actually got released. Like, people could actually play it out in a rave. It was, it was really cool. So, but I think, well, it's just networking as well. Again, I've got my brother to thank because he got my next track, which was with Rizzle, and that got on the Shogun Point of Origin. And that was quite a big deal. So that was like a bit of a break for me, because lots of people love those releases and those volumes. So I think I got a bit more movement after that release as well, and then it just snowballs. But it wasn't like, oh, I really, really want to do this. It just kind of happened. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Do you look back on any of your like releases, and there's maybe one that you're like really proud of, or maybe the way it came about or you wrote it like really stands out in your memory?
To be honest, that Rizzle track, it's still one of my favorites, and it's very heavily vocal driven. For like my second or third track, I think I wrote it very, very well, and I was recording in a really horrible spare room space, and it with a bit of a crappy mic, and when I look back, I was just like, oh, I really made the most out of what I had at the time. So yeah, I still love that track. I actually, when I performed the other night, I had a girl call me down, and she was like, "Oh, when's Rizzle playing Solstice?" And I was like, "That's my track." And she was like, "Are you Sydney?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh wow, she didn't know.
Yeah. She was like, "I only came to hear it." Unfortunately, we weren't playing it, but it was amazing. Like years on, like that people are still loving that song.
Yeah.
So I do feel like it's quite heartwarming when I listen to it back. And I just did so much vocal for that track. And sometimes you can do a lot of vocal, and fair enough. Like if the producer's like, it doesn't need to be that much, but I like to give more than less so that they've got loads to play around with and they can take what they want from it. But Rizzle kept every single line in exactly how I arranged it. So it was really nice because I kind of wrote a story and the story is still there. So yeah, I do love that song.
Yeah. I want to ask you about, you were talking about harmonies earlier, like harmonizing live and stuff like that. And for me, listening to your tracks, it's something that really stands out is like the harmonies. And
oh, really? Thank you. Because I actually struggle sometimes with those.
Okay, yeah, because I feel you do like a lot of them, and I don't know if it's the way it's mixed, but usually they stand out quite a bit in the mix, like sometimes on the same level as the original, like the main vocals. So
yeah,
I was just curious how you go about writing harmonies. Is it like, are you sitting down and like writing like minor thirds and fifths like above, or is it just listening, and like how do you go about it?
It for me, I just improvise. I love harmonies so much. I think they just make, it's just a beautiful combination of sounds that just oh yeah, exactly. You know, like it just expands the room when you've got like 4 or 5 layers. And I love trying to find weird ones as well that you wouldn't naturally think originally, but somehow you just find them and you're like, oh, that sounds eerie, and it really works. But for me, I wish I was better at them, to be honest. Like someone like Solar, like I love her harmonies, and I'm just like, how are you doing that? But yeah, I think actually I should be more theoretical with it, where I go to my, you know, my thirds and my fifths and your sevenths. But really I just do it by ear and hope for the best.
Okay, because it feels very like I don't know, when I hear it, it feels very like not methodical but like thought out.
Yeah, well, that's really good because
I guess that's what
that's what I was going for anyway. So no, it's something that I feel like I need a hand with. Like if I do have a friend who's like, he is just a musical wizard. He can play every single instrument on earth, and he's great producer and sound engineer. Like, he's amazing. He's like superhuman with music. So sometimes I do contact him and say like, could you help me with these harmonies? And he just finds them. But he does that. He goes like in his head and he's like,
wizards.
Oh, I know. I'm so jealous. So sometimes I need a hand, but I appreciate your compliment because I spend so much time on harmonies. And sometimes I go to the piano and work out the harmony on the piano, which can really help you hear what you're looking for. But yeah, they're tricky, but they're something that I just want to keep working on and getting better at.
Yeah, no, definitely it's a vital part of like even when I was in a band, like playing heavy rock and metal and stuff.
Oh,
and
really? What was your part?
Guitar. And so when we would write riffs, like harmonizing riffs is like vital to like bring extra dimension into your music. Yeah. But vocals, it's a whole other level. Like if a track doesn't have harmonies, it's almost like there's something missing.
It's
I feel now.
Empty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And especially in Liquid, where it's like quite minimal and atmospheric, you need those harmonies to come in.
Yeah, definitely. It just creates a space of just beautiful sounds. And like normally I get the main vocal down, and then it's like, right, okay, now I need my harmonies and my ad-libs. So then I just go through the whole track and I listen and I'll be like, that needs a bit of sparkle there, and just go through it all and try to figure out where they need to sit nicely. Because also I feel like you don't want too much as well, because you want the main vocal to really lead the song and not get too sort of lost within the other harmonies. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same. If there's no harmonies, I'm like, oh, you could have done with a little bit there. And yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah. I want to ask you about one specific track that I love of yours, and it's your collab with Telamic on his his latest EP,
Night Sun.
Yeah, your track Night Sun, because you were mentioning about like singing a vocal and it evokes like an eeriness. Yeah, and I definitely had that feeling with Night Sun. Like that vocal is very eerie and like it's like it's liquid, but it has this undertone of like darkness almost.
Sorry.
I'm just curious if you remember like writing that track and how it came together. Oh yeah,
absolutely. I get such great feedback from that song. Like people loved it, which it was really, really cool. And I wrote it, and Elliot didn't do anything with it for a long time. And then he had that EP. And he said like, oh, I think that's probably going to get signed, and it did, and I was so pleased because I loved that vocal and the harmonies are very easy to do, and that it was a very natural writing process. I knew I wanted to write about just, I'm a bit of a night owl, and I love the moon in the weirdest way. I just think there's something really magical about it and really calming. Like I'm very calm at night. I love dusk. I just think it's like everything's calming down from the day. And like sometimes I have anxiety in the morning. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but it's just like lots of stuff in my head. I've got lots to do, like more and sometimes excitement, you know, what am I going to do today and what's today going to bring? But that's why I love the night, because it's just like you can switch off, you can relax. So that was a really natural writing process for me. I found it really, I love Telemic's production. I find it so easy to write to. So the whole process was like really smooth, really enjoyed everything about it. There was no like where I'm like crying in the studio. There's no stress. There's no stressful moments with that one. So
does that happen?
Sometimes. Sometimes when the little fucking button's off and I haven't pushed it and it's been an hour and I'm like, oh, it's not working. So yeah, that was a really nice experience right into that. I've just found it super easy. It was just a really, I look back and smile at that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole EP is like one of my favorites.
Amazing, isn't it? And like to be a part with like Emily Mackis and Anastasia was really cool. Like I proper look up to them. So yeah, to see my name just in between was really, really nice. And beautiful EP. I love an EP where you just, because when he sent me it, I was just like, every tune is just like a journey. You're just on to the next, and there's no skipping with that one. I loved it.
He's the best.
Yeah,
he'll probably be listening to this, but I love his tunes.
You are.
But yeah, no, cool. I wanted to ask you also about you were mentioning earlier about singing classes, and I find it amazing that even you would still be taking singing classes, even though you're like really. But I know like even professional singers like do still take singing classes. So tell me a bit about when you actually started and what it brought to you.
Yeah, so I knew that I needed a little bit of help because there was certain songs that I'd struggle with, or I'd write a song and I couldn't actually sing what I want to bring to the song. So I just thought, you know what, I need to give it a go. And if I want to progress, then, you know, learning is just so important with everything. It's good to just have a second opinion as well. And I was very fortunate to find my vocal trainer, because she's an amazing singer. She's an amazing musician. and she's like the coolest person in the world. So we have the best time. And she's Italian, and she specializes in jazz. So that's what nice. Sort of when I think I went on some sort of teaching site where you can sort of type in anything you want to learn, and they give all the tutors. Yeah. So I saw her and I thought, oh, she's got a background in jazz, so I think we'll work well together. And it's just been a crazy journey, really, just learning like stuff that I would never even think of, like with singing. Even if you wear a different heel, so if you're in a bigger heel or a smaller heel, you could sound different. Oh, wow. And everything you eat, your sleep, like your whole life revolves around singing. And there's a thing called like the 3-day rule. So before you have a gig, you have 3 days to prepare your body and your mind. And it's just...
That's crazy.
Oh, it's mental. It's mental because you are the instrument. So
that's the thing. Yeah. It's the one difference with all the other instruments. It's your body. Like
if you feel crap, it's gonna be hard to do your best performance. So like learning all about breathing. Like I love meditation. It's one of those things where I know it's good for me, and when I meditate in the morning, my days are always better. But it's one of those things where I have to fight with myself. Force yourself to do it. Yeah, it's a bit like exercise, I guess. Yeah. You know, it's like, I know it's good for me, but I can't really be bothered. And so I do kick myself a lot because I'm like, right, you've got to get back into it again. And it makes a massive difference, but not only to mental health, but just my singing as well. Just controlling the breath is so important. I mean, it's like talking. If you haven't got breath, you're not going to be able to talk. So with singing, you know, if you want to be able to sing that phrase and have some embellishment or belt at the end, you need to make sure that you've got the right breathing control to be able to do it. So it's just massively like eye-opening to learn, you know, all about the anatomy and everything like that. It's just and it made me like singing even more because it was just like, one, I got better, which is always cool. And it was just amazing to think like, this is actually amazing what is going on here and here, and it's all connected. And it was just really, really cool to learn all this stuff that I just never knew before. Yeah.
It's crazy that you noticed the change so much. Like it's almost like going to the gym and noticing like physical change. It sounds very similar.
Oh, absolutely. Like I know exactly what is going on, and I can actually control like my vocal folds and my chords, because you kind of like, you don't want them constricted, you want them nice and open to get that clear sound, and you learn how to like move it and open it, and you once you practice that, you're like, oh no, that doesn't sound right, I need to do a certain movement. It's even weird to even try and explain it, and the sound comes out clearer, and you're like, okay, I'm doing it.
I got it.
Correctly now. So it's just that, and there's so much more to learn as well. So originally I did weekly lessons, and now I just do monthly, because we got to a point where she was like, what do you want to do today then? Yeah. Because I'd kind of, she'd be like, she was like, oh, you know, we'll practice that song. And she's like, I've got nothing to say. That was brilliant. Yeah. So we do monthly now, and I'm working on agility and riffs and runs just to smoothen those bits out. So now it's just kind of going, right, I need breathing for me, I think is going to be a consistent training. I don't think I'm ever going to be like, right, I don't need to worry about my breath. I think it's just something that is always going to be something I need to work on. I don't know if other singers have this as well. It's just like you can kind of lose it a little bit, and then a song that you could sing before, because you haven't been doing your breathing exercises, maybe you can't do it anymore. So that's just something consistently. But at the moment, I just say to Jemana, my singing teacher, okay, I want to work on this month, and then I have a month to kind of practice. And we've been doing a lot of Stevie Wonder songs, which is really cool. Oh, nice. So it's quite a nice little routine that we've got now.
What is that agility?
So it's just your
I like switching between notes and
yeah, so your riffs and your runs are going up and down the scale basically. Okay, right, so like you know, like Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
And she's like
yeah.
That's what I want to do. Yeah.
The pure, like, I don't know, jazz or soul type of singing.
Yeah, like lots of embellishment and you're just going nuts up and down the scale like Christina Aguilera or someone like that. So that's like the agility. So that's what I really want to get better at, because I know that I can get better at that. So it's quite good now. I'm just like, I'm struggling with belting or whatever, like your big singing voice or stuff like that. And then I've got like a month to sort of take in what she's all the notes and stuff, and then go from there. So it's cool.
So as we're speaking, you're in your 3-day preparation for Monday then, or almost.
Where are we? We're Thursday.
Thursday evening.
Yeah. Well, I'm working a weekend, so I won't be doing any drinking or anything like that. So I will start. I'll start on the weekend, and just making sure that I'm eating clean and
hydrating and all that stuff.
Not going out partying and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope it goes well.
Thank you.
I do, just to slowly close this off, there's always a lot of up and coming producers and singers that listen to this podcast. So I was interested in having tips or advice for newcomers. So what would you give in terms of like singing, but maybe also what you've learned, like networking in the scene or stuff like that? Just
for
stuff
me, just talk to people. Just literally, I contacted everyone. I was just like, hi, I love your stuff. You know, I'm a singer myself. I remember the first rave I ever hosted, which was a few years ago. Like my early influences, like vocalist wise, would probably be like Katie's Ambition or Lucy Kitchen, someone like that. But as I got a bit older, like Charlie Bricks, Rhea Colette, these were the people that I was like, I want to get to that stage. So I just messaged Charlie Bricks and I was like, hey, like, I'm a massive fan of yours. I've been following you for ages and I've got my first event tonight and I'm just wondering if you've got any do's and don'ts for me before I go on stage. And I did not expect her to reply. And she was just so cool. Like, she just gave me all this advice and things that you would not know unless someone who's been there and done it and got the t-shirt would know. So I would just say, like, don't be afraid. Like, I used to think these people were like, they were like my gods. I mean, they still are my gods. You know, I look up to these people, but they're just people. They have been in your shoes. This is what everyone started with no followers. Everyone started from the beginning. And in this scene, I guarantee that 99% of the people you talk to will want to help you and want to, you know, see you succeed and will not want like you to make the mistakes or things happen that happen to them. So I would just say, like, honestly, just contact people and be like, just be like, hi, I'm, you know, a massive fan and, you know, whatever you want to say. And that's how you get your name around, really, and just be a bit more of a face in the scene, because otherwise no one's going to know who you are, really. Yeah.
Networking is a key part, like, for anybody.
Just don't be afraid. Like, you see someone in the rave, just go up and say hi. You know, that, like, people love it. Like the girl at the event, I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I'm like, it's never gonna get old. So just don't be afraid to sort of just go say hey, and like, you never know the opportunities. And that's what I love about drum and bass. They will give you an opportunity. Like, someone will say, okay, cool, there's a track, show me what you can do. And that's what happened to me. Someone just gave me a shot and it worked out. If you don't do this, then you're always gonna be what I was and just sit in your bedroom and only listen to yourself play and just look at Instagram and be like, oh, I want to do that so bad.
Just noodle forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just get out there, and, you know, in this sort of scene, someone will give you a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just practice. Just practice. That, like, practice makes perfect. And it's so true.
Put in the hours, basically.
Yeah. The thing with music is it's literally like, it is you. So whatever you put in, you're going to get out. If you don't put in, you're not going to get anything out of it. So like for me, I find music really hard in a good way. Music's the best thing in my life and always will be. But for me, it's not easy. It's a constant dedication. It's a constant like, okay, well, you have to get that done. Yeah. They're waiting on vocals, or you have to do your singing practice. And once you get into the flow, like I found that I'd fall out of practice and then I'd be anxious about it. And I'd be like, oh, I haven't done my singing practice and got my lesson coming up. But as soon as you get back into that flow, you're like, why did I ever fall out of it? Yeah, and then you see the progress, and yeah, you've just got to put the hours in, and the rewards are just amazing. Like when you're on that rhythm of, oh, I'm practicing and my recordings are really nice and you've got people constantly, there is nothing better. You're just like high flying. You're like, this is sick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's true just to echo what you were saying, like it's not because you love something that it's easy to do. I've really like realized that also with like producing music. Once I was telling a friend that I had to force myself sometimes to sit down in the morning and write a track, and he was like, what do you mean? It's like music. You love music. And I was like...
it should be fun and easy.
Exactly.
But it's a passion and
it's work as well.
It is. So, no, it's hard work. And like, you know, I wish that I could sit here and say, oh, music cures all my anxieties and, you know, but sometimes it's the cause of my anxiety, you know, because I want to do better and I want to do more. But I'd just say be easy on yourself because everything will happen how it should. You know, the path's there for you. Just be positive, work hard, and good things will come.
Perfect words to end this off. I don't know what to say. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you and chatting with you.
No, it's been so good. Thank you for having me.
Really
I've literally, I don't even know the time. This has flown by.
A bit more than an hour. So
really,
yeah,
it's been a great hour. I've loved it.
Before we shut off, maybe let people know if you have any projects that you want to disclose, things people can check out, or where they can reach out to you on.
Well, I would just say look out for P releases that are going to be coming probably. Are we in September yet? I have no idea where we are.
When the episode comes out, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So end of September. Look out for some multi-genre stuff. I will be posting on social media and getting it out. But look out for new stuff that's coming under P, and some other multi-genre stuff as well.
Awesome. All the best with everything then.
Thank you so much, and you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Catch up soon. Bye.